Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. This is Mindy Eggen. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil System. This is a great way to add foiling to your cards without using any types of gels, and it leaves you with such a beautiful, elegant look. First, I want to show you one of the most helpful tools that I'll be using today, and this is the Quick Trimmer from Spellbinders. It is a cutting mat, and then it has the plastic piece here that helps us cut, a blade for foils, and then I'm going to be using the matte gold foil. I'm going to start by using this large thank you so much foil plate from Pinkfresh Studio. So I'm going to pull that off, and it does also have a coordinating die, which I think is amazing. Now to use this trimmer, I want to show you this plastic piece. It has a little bit of a ledge on there, and that's going down onto the mat. That just helps lift that plastic plate up off of the cutting pad just a little bit. Then I'm rolling out my foil, and I'm going to put my plastic cutter piece or my alignment on top. I'm going to bring in my foil plate and kind of get a good eyeball about how big I want my foil to be. Now, this is just an easier way to cut foil, and it also is going to save your foil so you're not wasting too much. And you can totally just cut it with your scissors, but I really love having this quick trimmer handy for it. So you can see I am pushing my foil plate. It's on top of the cutting alignment tool, and I'm eyeballing about where that is going to be a big of a piece for. Then I'm just lining up my blade in the slots. Each of those lines is a slot for your blade, and just pull that down and cut that down. So you can see now this foil plate is fitting perfectly onto that piece of foil. I'm going to turn that foil piece, lay that back on the cutting mat, place my alignment on top of that, and I'm going to turn my foil plate so I can cut it about the length that I want this to be. And then I can just trim that off too. So this is just saving you a lot of waste. I know for me personally, when I was using scissors, I was wasting a lot of foil, and I don't like doing that with foils. Now that I have my piece cut, I'm going to bring in my hot foil system. So there's a button on the back. You just turn this on, and you're going to see the lights light up on the side. So I have a red light there. I want that to turn green. The second light there, I'm going to wait for it to turn green. That just means that the surface is hot enough for my foil plate. While I'm waiting for that to warm up, I'm going to get my cardstock and my foil ready. So this is a piece of just white cardstock, 80 pound. That is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I like to use the hinge method, or using washi tape, any type of low tack tape. And I'm going to lift up my foil plate and place my foil underneath. Now, the washi tape, that is all fine using with your hot foil system. Any type of low tack tape, I've used quite a few variety. All of them work great. This is just going to help keep my foil plate exactly where I want it to be. So I do all of my lining up before I take it over to the hot foil system. So notice my sandwich here is my cardstock, my foil shiny side up, then my foil plate down, and I'm holding all of that in place with the washi tape. Now you'll notice here that my green light is ready, which tells me that my surface is hot. You also want to make sure that your platform is engaged, so it is pushed into, there's a piece at the top where it's connecting to the foil system. And you'll notice this in just a minute. Now my green light down there is going to blink. I had placed my hot foil plate down onto the platform, and when this light stops blinking, that means it's hot enough and ready for me to foil it through my die cutting machine. So I have some plates here. I have 2 of the Spellbinders hot foil plates that I just taped together. And I do have an oops on that plate. I forgot to add my cardstock one time when I was foiling. So now I have a thank you so much foiled onto my plates. But while I'm waiting for this, after that stays green, it's going to stay a steady green, I'm going to detach this. And I'm going to move that out of the way and bring that over to my Platinum 6. This is all you need, just this platform, none of your other cutting pads from the Platinum 6. And I'm going to slowly put this through the die cut machine. So after I run this through, I'm going to take my platform back over to my hot foil system. If you're going to be foiling a lot of things right away, you can go ahead and push that platform back into the base and engage that. But I'm going to just leave this for right now. I'll move it off on the side, and I'm going to remove the washi tape here. Now you want to be careful because that foil plate is, I mean, it's not going to burn you, but if you hold your hand on it, it's going to hurt. So just be careful when you're removing this. And I'm just peeling back that washi tape, and I have this beautifully foiled thank you so much sentiment on the card. So this is perfect completely as is. You could ink blend on top of this. The foiling resists the ink. So there's lots of things you could do with just this panel. But I'm going all out today because I was having a lot of fun foiling. Another thing I find really neat is that there is a coordinating die to die cut this out. So I just line that up, held that in place with low tack tape, and run that through my die cut machine like I normally would with any of my coordinating dies. And then just using a craft pick, I'm poking out all of those excess areas. And then I'll have a perfectly die cut and foiled sentiment ready for any of my cards. And typically when I'm foiling, I will go ahead and do a bunch of these at one time just to have ready and on hand. So this is the Folk Garden stamp set. There is also a coordinating die. There is a layering stencil and also the foil plate, and those are all sold separately. You can use them all separately, but I'm deciding to use them all together just because it was a ton of fun. I'm going to quickly just go through my cutting again. So I did speed this up because I already showed it once, but I'm leaving it in. A lot of times I think just seeing it again, maybe not always explaining, but seeing it really helps. I know that helps me. So I am cutting a piece of foil that's going to fit this cover plate, and I'm going to put this on top of some white cardstock that is 80 pound, and once again hold that in place with the washi tape. I like using that because I don't want anything to shift. So by the magic of video, my hot foil system is heated up, ready to go. I place that down. Now my foil plate is what is on the actual platform. And then once that light was a solid green, I could disengage that platform. I'm placing my glimmer plates on top and slowly running this through the Platinum 6. You want to do this slowly and really give that heat enough time to, really get into the paper. So once again, just be really careful when you're removing this. There are special tweezers and things to help you with this. I just always kind of forget that I have them. So just be careful that it is pretty warm for a few seconds. And then after I have that done, I am going to use the coordinating stencil to add color to this. So once again, this is something that you could definitely just use on its own. You could foil on colored cardstock, black cardstock, different colors of foil options. Anything is really possible with this. I'm using the stencil on top. There is the coordinating stencil you can purchase separately. And I am starting off by ink blending Grassy, Knoll, and I'm just using some Gina K Designs blending brushes. So after that first layer, I'm going to bring in the second layer, and I'm going to be doing olive to add that second darkest color. Now, Pinkfresh Studios does have it labeled in the top left corner, stencil 1, 2, 3, and 4, so you know which one to go in what order. And they also have little registration marks to line up your cardstock. I actually didn't use them during this process because I was just using the outline of the foil. But if you were going to use the stencil on its own, those registration marks really help line up on your cardstock. For the few flowers that are on here, I'm going to be using Sky Blue, which is a really light blue. And then my last layer here, I'll be using Summer Shower. I really love how Pinkfresh has their inks grouped into 4 different color options in a certain palette. It just really helps me choose the colors that I want. So that is one thing I really enjoy about the Pinkfresh inks. Now I'm going to take the coordinating die and line that up over the images. I'm going to hold it in place with low tack tape and run that through my die cut machine. And every now and then I get really lucky when I die cut and everything stayed in place. So since this is like winning the lottery, I decided to do something a little crazy. I'm taking my press and seal and I'm going to place this over the top to hold everything in place. None of those pieces fell out, but they are all die cut. Now I'm taking little pieces of foam tape and I'm lining them up over all of the images. This was a little bit tedious, but like I said, it's like winning the lottery. It's not all the time that all of my pieces stayed in the background. So I decided I wanted to add this to a card panel and have everything popped up. So after all of those foam pieces are added, I'm just removing that negative space, and all I'm going to have left are the images. There are a few of them that don't die cut out, but that is totally fine. Then I'll just remove all of the backing on that foam tape, and I'm going to add this to a piece of cardstock. This is in the navy cardstock, and I thought it matched the light blues that I picked really well. I thought it just had a great contrast to it. And since I'm using press and seal, which is see-through, I can line that up on my card panel and just push down, and all of that foam tape is going to stick to my dark background. Then I can just peel this up. The press and seal does not hurt my project in any way, and I am left with this beautiful background that is popped up with dimension. I am going to take this over to my paper trimmer, and I am cutting off just about, I think it's about 1/4 of an inch just on one side. And then I will be adding it to a piece of white cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's leaving me with just those white, thin white edges on the side. Now, I'll admit I really struggled with the sentiment, so I didn't put this together on screen. I did a lot of this off screen, but I had foiled that "thank you so much" onto in the navy cardstock, and then I die cut it 2 more times and layered that sentiment together to add a little bit of dimension. That dimension really helped make this pop off of the background. I really wanted to use that "thank you so much" word die, but I was struggling with it getting lost in the background. And those layers, that dimension, just really helped that come alive. And then I finished it off by adding a few jewels around the image. So I do have one more card that I finished on camera for you. This one is a background I ink blended with some light greens and just some light coral colors. I trimmed the panel down to, I think, about 4 by 5 1/4. I'm lining the back of it with foam tape to once again add that dimension, and then I'm going to add it to a piece of white cardstock measuring 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now, I will show you on screen how I did my sentiment. So this is a thank you that I had foiled on white cardstock. I die cut that coordinating die 3 times or 2 times from white cardstock and layered together. And that's what I did on my previous card too. And then added the liquid glue and added it straight to the card front. So loving that dimension with that foiled sentiment. And then just finishing it off with some pink jewels and liquid glue. And that finishes up my 2 cards that I have for you today using the Glimmer hot foil system from Spellbinders. If you haven't tried foiling, I definitely recommend it. I know it's an investment with the machine, but it is so pretty and it's such a great element to add to your cards. All of these supplies will be listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.